The Old Pond by Matsuo Basho. An old silent pond. A frog jumps into the pond. Splash. Silence again. This is an example of one of my favourite haikus. We're going to have a go at writing our own haiku poems today.
Welcome back to another lesson. Here we are with our countdown game again. If you weren't here before on the previous lessons, these boxes are going to fill with vowels and consonants. We have 30 seconds to use them to make the longest word possible. Right, let's get ready to play. You'll need a notepad and a pencil. Remember, you're playing against me. Here starts the clock. Off we go. Let's check some answers. This is why this game's so good, because you learn new words. Bandiest. Even I had to look this one up, but it means that the legs are very bendy. So let's check how many letters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. An 8-letter word this time. I'll admit I only got a 5-letter word. Beast. I wonder if you beat me. So in today's session, we're going to look at writing our own haiku poems and identifying the structure of them. There's a bit of a trick to these, which I'll be back to show you partway through the lesson.
So today we're going to learn how to structure and write a haiku poem. The first thing to think about is, what is a haiku poem? A haiku is a traditional form of Japanese poetry. It often focuses on a subject related to nature or geography. Haikus do not require a rhyming pattern, but they do require a particular pattern of syllables. We need to think about what a syllable is. Take a moment, think about it, call out your answer. Let's see if it matches mine. A syllable is part of a word that contains a single vowel sound and that is pronounced as a unit. It's going to cut back to me now. I'm going to show you a trick for counting syllables.
So I told you I'll be back with a little trick to teach you. Now, for haiku poems, we're going to need to count syllables. This can be quite tricky, but in secondary school I was taught a little trick to help me. Place your hand just underneath your chin, and as you speak you'll feel your chin hit into your hand. This is one syllable every time your chin hits your hand. Let's try it with the word garden. Here we go. Garden. 2 syllables. My chin hit my hand 2 times. It's like if we tried a word like bike. 1 syllable, only hit once. Use this to help you going forward.
Now that we've learnt a trick for counting syllables, we need to have a look at a haiku poem and how it's structured. Here are 2 examples: central heating and newspaper forests. I want you to look at these rainforest haikus. Can you recognise a common syllable pattern within both of them? I'll read them out to you. Central heating. Glaciers melting. Global sea levels rising. Turn up the heating. Newspaper forests. Deforestation. Cattle farms, palm oil, paper. Read all about it. Now, these are only short poems. Use the trick I taught you with the hand under the chin to count the syllables on each line of the poem. See if you can spot the same number of syllables in different lines across both poems. Then, let's come back and have a look together. Hopefully you've managed to count the syllables in the lines. Haikus always have 3 lines of poetry, with 5 syllables in the first line, 7 syllables in the second, and 5 syllables in the third line. So in central heating, we have the title first of all. Then the first line has 5 syllables, glaciers melting. Then 7 syllables in global sea levels rising, and 5 syllables again in turn up the heating. If you didn't quite get this, practice now reading it with your hand under your chin. See if on the first line your chin hits your hand 5 times. See if on the second line it hits your hand 7 times. And on the third line it hits your hand 5 times again. These are the number of syllables we're aiming for in our lines of poetry. Now that we understand the structure of a haiku poem, we need to think about planning our own. When you write a haiku poem, it should be about the environment in some way. The previous examples we saw were about a negative thing that's happening to the environment. And there are many other issues that your haiku could be about, such as the polar ice caps melting, solar power, greenhouse gases, climate change, littering, or endangered species. You may want to think about a positive aspect of nature that you want to write about instead. That's fine as well, as long as it's got a link to the environment. I would choose a topic idea and then write down as many words as you can about it. This will help you to come up with some ideas for your haiku lines and help you to focus on the images that you want your reader to think about. Remember, you've only got 3 lines, so you have to think really carefully about what you're going to write in those 3 lines. Take a moment now to just choose your topic and then write down any ideas that you have about it. Then come back. Once you've got your ideas, it's time to write your haiku poem. Remember the structure. 5 syllables in the first line, 7 in the second, and 5 in the third. Use the hand below your chin technique to help you count the syllables. Once you've done this, you could do a little illustration to go with your haiku. This is my example below. Second-hand planet. Second-hand planet, few million miles on the clock, seeks careful owner. That's my example of a haiku. I'm sure that you'll be able to come up with some brilliant haikus too. Have some time now to write your own haiku. Once you've done this, come back and we'll do a bit of self-assessment together. Hopefully now you've had a go at writing your own haiku linked to the environment. Check to see if your haiku follows these rules. 5 syllables in the first line, 7 syllables in the second, 5 syllables in the third. As long as you followed this structure, this means your poem is a haiku. Make sure it's got a theme link to the environment, because that's where it originates from. In Japan, they always write haikus about the environment. I've also put use as ambitious descriptions. This might be where you want to edit your poem slightly. If you've got the structure right, you've got a good haiku poem written, but you may want to look back at it and see if there's any ways you can make more ambitious descriptions or paint a better image in the reader's head. Perhaps read it, or you could write it in the comments below for me to read as well.
I hope you enjoyed writing haiku poems together today. A little bit of a break from our story writing and our extended writing, but we'll be back with a new topic next week. Stay safe. See you all soon.